Public speaking isn't something that many people enjoy. In this video, I'll teach you the ABCs of public speaking that you can use to make sure your next event goes great. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm excited to share with you today the ABCs of public speaking that I created to help you become a better public speaker and nail your next presentation. My name is Matt, and with this channel, I hope to challenge you to live a better life. So if you liked the video, click the thumbs up button, let us know in the comments what you thought, and why not subscribe and tap the bell to be notified when a new video comes out every Monday. Let's jump into today's topic. I was asked by a group in my community if I could come in and do a presentation on public speaking. Now, I agreed to do that because I'm looking for ways to challenge myself, and this seemed fitting. Public speaking isn't something that many people enjoy. I'd probably say that, and I would agree with that, but something that I kind of am used to. You see, I'm a teacher. I teach high school, so I'm used to being in front of a group of people, in front of a group of students in this example. But public speaking is something that has a lot of parallels to teaching, where I have planning for a lesson in the classroom is very similar to planning for a public speaking event. So I got planning and I came up with the ABCs of public speaking, which are audience, build, and communication. The A stands for audience, and these are the people that will be viewing your presentation. These are the ones that you might be trying to persuade given the presentation topic. These are the people that might even be scoring you in a judging situation, and many other reasons. And I think before you start planning your presentation, you should ask yourself 3 questions. Who is the audience? Who are they? Where are they from? Are you talking to a bunch of elementary school students? Are you talking to some senior citizens on a certain topic? Or are you talking to a bunch of people that you are trying to sell a product? It's important to figure out who your audience is. It's important to also think about why they're listening to you. And that's the second point. Why are they listening to you? They are giving up their time to come to this presentation. You have given up your time to plan and prepare and do this presentation. So why are they there? Are you trying to sell them something? Are you trying to educate them on a certain topic or persuade them on something? You need to figure out the why. And the last thing you should ask yourself before starting to plan your presentation is, what do they already know about your topic? Are you talking to people about a topic that they have no knowledge on? Or are you talking to a bunch of experts in that specific field? You need to figure out who is listening to your presentation, why they're there, and what they already know about your topic before you can go on and start creating or building your presentation with the next one. The B stands for build because you need to have a well-built plan for your presentation in order for it to go well. You should begin with a hook that gets the audience interested in your topic. It has to be something that's very short, interesting, and will give the audience an idea of what you're talking about very quickly, because it can be really hard to get their attention back if you lose it. So notice at the start of this video, I introduced my hook before I did my logo reveal. And I said something along the lines of, public speaking is something that many people don't enjoy. In this video, I'll teach you the ABCs of public speaking to help you nail your next presentation. So I said that with excitement, and I said that giving a good overview of the stuff that you were going to see in this video, so that you, in the first 10 seconds, you knew what this video was about and how it provided value to you so that you didn't click away. Once you've done your hook, I think you should do a quick introduction about yourself. At the start of this video, I did introduce myself. I introduced this YouTube channel and why it provided value to the audience, you, the viewer. And the same goes for a presentation. Introduce yourself and tell them why your topic is important and essentially why they should listen to you. You should then move into the body of your presentation. This is where most of the important information will be, as well as I think you should really think about chunking it up. There's a lot of scientific research and evidence that supports people remember things better when things are chunked up or broken up into smaller pieces. So Typically, they say do things in groups of 3 because that is easy for people to remember and hold on to and recall in the future when they need to. So think about this video. This video's title is The ABCs of Public Speaking. A, B, C. 3 easy things, and I've also given you an acronym to remember that. ABC stands for audience, build, and communication, so that a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 months later, when you have an assignment or you're asked to do a public speaking event, you will be able to quickly recall the ABCs of public speaking, and then you'll use that to plan your awesome presentation. And the presentation should end with a strong conclusion that summarizes what your presentation was about, why it was important, and you should always thank your audience. And the C stands for communication. And I think it's important to remember that there are multiple types of communication. The 3 that I'm going to talk about today are the verbal communication, nonverbal communication, as well as resources, which might surprise you. So let's talk about verbal communication. Obviously, in a public speaking event, you will need to speak. So that's what you're going to be using. You're going to be using your voice to provide information in some way. All right, so when you're speaking, make sure that you speak at an appropriate volume. Don't speak too loud and don't speak too soft. Okay, be sure to speak at an appropriate volume that's constant throughout, but at certain times you might want to raise your voice just slightly or minimize your voice to make a point more interesting or exciting, depending on what your topic and speech goes about. You might also want to consider how fast you're talking. Now me, I can talk quite fast very easily and not realize that I'm doing it. So it's something that you want to practice and make sure that you're providing the information in an exciting way, yet you're not talking too fast or too slow. And I think it's important to think about the language level of your audience. If you're speaking to experts in your field, then you can use certain vocabulary terms and concepts to explain something that they will probably be able to understand very quickly. Rather, if you're speaking to some middle school or elementary school students and you start talking about Einstein's theory of relativity, that's probably going to go right over their heads. The second form of communication is nonverbal communication. And this is just as important as the verbal communication, in my opinion, because the nonverbal ways that we communicate indicate a lot about our feelings or how excited we are about a certain topic, for example. So when you are doing your presentation, be sure to stand upright. Okay, I'm sitting down because I'm really tall and I don't have enough room to film in my house. So I have to sit down to record these videos, but I make sure that I'm sitting up straight. And if I was standing, I would do the same. I'd stand up straight with my body in line with each other so that I give off a confident appearance. Secondly, I'd make sure that I'm not fidgeting around too much. I wouldn't be tapping my nose or ears because that would be distracting to you, the viewer. Also, I'm not moving my feet around and I'm not fidgeting so that people can see it. I kind of like to have a resting place for my hands, which is just in front of me, and I will use my hands to emphasize points, to move around. But most of the time, I will always go back to that resting point. Eye contact is another way of communicating that is very important because it will help bridge that connection between you and your audience when you're giving your talk. So make sure that you're giving eye contact to people. You're not, for a video, for example, I'm not looking around the camera like this. This would just be a little bit weird if I did that. You probably would click away in the first 10 seconds, if not quicker. So make sure that you are looking your audience in the eye. Make sure you're not just staring one person down. Make sure you're not staring anybody down for that example. And as well, move around. Some people like to do time. They might like to say, I'll talk towards somebody for 3, 5, 10 seconds before I move to the next person. You could do that. You could try working with that. You might find that that works for you. At the same time, some people are so worried about eye contact that they dart around and they don't really make eye contact with anyone because they're making too many movements with their eyes, and it just looks kind of creepy. So beware of eye contact. And the last point for nonverbal communication I'm going to say is work the room. And that was something I was taught as a teacher. I was taught to kind of circulate around the room, move around the room. If somebody's chattering in the back, maybe I'm going to, as I'm speaking, just slowly make my way back there. And just by proximity, that chatter is most likely to stop. All right, so work the room. Don't run around, don't do laps around the room, but know how to work the room when you're giving your presentation, and you just want to make sure that you move in a cool, comfortable way. Now, both of these types of communication take time to work on and improve, so the best tip that I have for you is practice. Make sure that you practice a few days, if not weeks, in advance for your presentation, because it's going to just come so much more naturally if you do that rather than just practicing it the day or the hour before you have to present. So the more practice that you can get in, the better your presentation will be. And another thing is, I scripted out this video because I wanted to have a well-developed plan for the ABCs of public speaking. So I have a script, but really when I'm filming this, I look at the script for 1 second and then I talk for a minute, 2 minutes at a time. So I've scripted it out. You need to know where you're going and the plan that you have, but don't memorize a script. Know the major topics that you want to talk about and then talk about them. You should be an expert or very, very well experienced in whatever topic that you are presenting. So you should be able to do this very quickly and know the big points that you want to hit, and you should be able to talk about those in a good sequential order. And the last form of communication that I'm going to talk about are resources, which I think are really important, and a lot of people will not consider them for a public speaking presentation. And they might not be suitable for all presentations that you have to give, but they might pay off and help you in the long run. So for resources, I'm talking about pamphlets, I'm talking about posters, I'm talking about social media accounts. So what I would say is, the other day when I gave my ABCs of public speaking presentation, I gave my audience during and after my presentation, I gave them a little pamphlet that highlighted the main topics about my presentation, as well as the ABCs of public speaking, so that they could use that to prepare for their next presentation, as well as I gave them my name so that they could find me, as well as this social media account information. So for that first thing, I gave them a resource. You might want to think about a poster, a pamphlet, a note, something like that for your audience. And one that I'm really interested in is building your personal brand. So at the end of that presentation and on the pamphlet, I said, you can check out the rest of my content here because it provided value to them, where I was able to give them this video. They'd be able to find this video and talk about the ABCs of public speaking when they are preparing for their presentation. So that, in a way, I converted that conversation that we had at the presentation that night to an ongoing conversation as time goes on, as well as they're following my social media accounts now, and we can continue developing that relationship. So you might want to think if it's appropriate for your presentation to share your social media accounts, share your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, things like that. You might also want to share your email address, and you might also want to share your website. Again, if all of that is appropriate, then feel free to do that. So to review today's video, we talked about the ABCs of public speaking, which are audience, build, and communicate. Know your audience and why they're there listening to you. Build your presentation to keep the audience engaged and that they will be able to leave having learned something. And communicate in a way that shows you're confident, interested, and knowledgeable about your topic. So there's our video on the ABCs of public speaking. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this, as well as any tips and tricks that you use when preparing for a public speaking event. And please subscribe to this channel. Tap the bell to be notified when a new video comes out every Monday, helping real people live great lives. I'm excited to see how your presentation goes, so let us know and we'll hear from you soon.